All right, let's dive in. What we're looking at today is Journey, a really personal collection of songs. It's basically a story told through music, all about conflict, deep grief, and that incredibly tough road to healing. You know, every song tells a story, right? But this is different. This collection builds a whole world. It's a story about survival, really. About a soul that's just lost, caught in a storm it created itself, and is desperately looking for a way out. So, like the slide says, what happens when we really listen? Let's do that. Let's find the story hidden inside these songs. Okay, so let's start with chapter 1. A soul looks for home. And this isn't just, a theme, it's the core quest. It's the thing that drives every single conflict and every quiet moment in this whole story. It's all about finding that place of inner peace. And the way this is phrased, it's so specific and it's so important. The artist isn't singing about looking for a house or some town. No, they're looking for a place where my soul feels just. Right away, that tells you everything. This isn't about finding a physical roof over their head. It's about finding some kind of moral, spiritual balance. So yeah, that's the key right there. This home we're talking about, it's not a location. It's a state of mind. It's about being able to accept yourself after your past has just shattered you. It's about figuring out how to make peace with the things you've done and just feel whole again. But to really get why this person is searching so desperately for peace, we've got to look at what broke them in the first place. And that takes us to the next part, the wounds that shape us. These are the deep, foundational traumas that are fueling this entire internal war. The first major wound comes at us in the song Onyo. Now, if you're not familiar, an Onyo in Japanese folklore is basically a vengeful ghost. It's a spirit that comes back to get justice for something terrible that happened to it. The artist uses this incredibly powerful, kind of haunting idea to talk about a deep, deep wound from their childhood, abuse from their mother. And wow, the lyrics, they're just devastatingly direct. There's no hiding behind metaphors here. It's just a raw, honest statement about this foundational wound. And did you catch that? It's not described as just a bad memory, but as something that's still festering and growing. So this isn't just about something that happened way back when. It sets up this pattern of pain that's very much alive in the present. Then we get this second major wound. This one is all about this profound sense of loss, and it's explored in a song with a really ironic title, My Happy Place. The song takes us back to a physical house, but as you can see, it's become this hollowed-out space. It's turned into a kind of psychological prison, all because of the memory of a father's death. And bam, there it is. Those are the two pillars holding up this whole internal struggle. You've got the festering wound of abuse from a mother on one side, and on the other, this absolutely crushing, guilt-soaked grief over a father. These two traumas, they're what define the entire psyche we're about to dive into. So all of this leads us to the central metaphor of the whole collection, really. This idea of an internal prison, where the conscious part of the self is literally at war with its own rage that it's trying to keep locked down. This whole chapter kicks off with this incredibly powerful image, doesn't it? An internal prison. It makes it crystal clear that this isn't a story about fighting some bad guy out there in the world. The entire war, every bit of this conflict, is happening inside the artist's own head. So who's fighting in this war? Well, on one side, you've got the warden. That's the conscious self, the part that's just trying to keep it together and get through the day. And its main strategy? Just drown the rage and sadness. Do anything to stop it from exploding. But on the other side, you've got the beast. This is rage, literally given a personality. It's born from all that trauma and abuse, and it's locked away deep, deep down. This line from the song Coping just lays out the warden's strategy perfectly. It's not just about avoiding the feeling, it's an active, constant suppression, and it's driven by fear. He is absolutely terrified of what might happen if that beast ever gets out. Then the song Week by Week gives us this chilling play-by-play of how this whole suppression strategy just falls apart. I mean, look at this. Week 1, rage is just kind of taunting him from inside the cage. By week 2, it's getting stronger, it's feeding on the warden's own frustration. You can't even tell who's the prisoner and who's the guard anymore. And then week 3, the cage shatters. The strategy has completely and utterly failed. And this is the climax of that whole internal fight. You see the beast just erupting in pure, raw fury. And then you see the prison totally broken, the warden's mind completely overrun. The monster is out.
So, the beast is finally free. What happens now? Well, it's not some moment of liberation. It is pure devastation.
There's this verse from a song called Rage's Regret that is just heartbreaking. The rage, now that it's out, it destroys the one thing you need for human connection: empathy. And that's when you see the true cost of letting the beast win. It's not just about the damage it does to the outside world. It's about losing a part of your own humanity. I mean, after that kind of devastation, that loss of your own self, it really feels like the end of the story, doesn't it? But destruction is never the whole story. And right here, at the absolute lowest point, the entire narrative makes a hard turn towards something completely new. And that brings us to our final act, the slow, really painful process of trying to turn all of this pain into some kind of purpose.
The change in the imagery here is just so powerful. After all that darkness, all that talk of prisons and rage, we get this, a single candle held out almost like an offering. It's the perfect picture of what's happening. That pain and grief are being transformed, turned into a source of light and warmth.
And the song Share My Light really shows us how that transformation actually happens. The grief over his father's death, that used to be this crippling guilt, like an anchor just weighing him down. But now, it becomes a catalyst. The guilt doesn't just disappear, that's not how it works. Instead, all that weight gets turned into fuel. The drive to share my light, to live a life with purpose. And this, I think, is the most important takeaway from the whole thing. The story doesn't end with some magical cure or a neat little bow. Healing isn't a finish line you cross. It's about accepting that it's an ongoing process. It's about learning and growing and forgiving yourself day by day, over and over again. So we're left with this final question, aren't we? This entire musical journey seems to suggest that the very things that break us, all the abuse, the grief, the rage, that maybe, just maybe, if we're brave enough to confront them, they can actually be transformed. And that's a really powerful idea to sit with, that the source of our deepest, darkest moments might also hold the key to our brightest light.